Now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome my boss. He's our vice chair at the National Culture Forum. He's a guy I also got to want to meet before I met him, just because I had so many people speak good things about him. One of them is Wisdom Kai. You know Wisdom Kai. But eventually, by God's grace, Batambuze Charles is a very resourceful person. He's a consultant and advisor on many platforms, including government policymakers. So, I think it's informing what we present when it goes to meet those committees of parliament when that time comes. Ladies and gentlemen, Charles Batambuze, the Vice Chairperson of the National Culture Forum.
Thank you very much. It's a great thing to speak after Jeff and Jeff's proper, because you have been putting into perspective the things that I want to say, and I want to approach the subject from where I sit, the kind of issues that we are handling on a daily basis as National Culture Forum. But to begin with, where Dorothy started, music is a cultural good, and so the different classifications of music, all of them we look at them as a cultural good, and music is part of the culture and creative industry. And this industry, in our case, in the case of Uganda, has all those 9 domains, and all of us are playing a part at different levels. When I looked at the theme, gospel music industry versus mainstream, and whether they can fit in the same basket, but I personally thought these are already in the same basket. The two are already in the same basket. Actually, when we are listening to radio, you choose whether you want on Tuesday to listen to a gospel radio station where they will play gospel music, or you want to listen to Capital FM where they will put in a gospel song once in a while. So it is the same basket, and the users decide what they want to enjoy at a particular time. Gospel and secular, I really would also like to use the word secular, share similar cultural and social goals. Of course, probably the main goal of gospel could be getting people to go to heaven, the ultimate, in the grand scheme of things. But we enjoy the entertainment out of secular as well as gospel music, and the values that are articulated therein. All of them communicate using language. Some of it is a foreign language, but most of the music is in our local languages, meaning both gospel and secular play a role in preserving our languages. The words within our languages carry with them particular values that reflect our cultures. So all music, gospel and secular, is very important for playing that role. I like Jeff. He said, I'm not caring about those people that produce music just for the sake of. I'm talking to those that produce music for business. And where I sit, we're looking at people that are creating for business. Because this country is hurting for opportunities. As you know, 78% of the population of Uganda is below 30 years. And where can we find opportunities for this population to be engaged, either economically or even in terms of entertainment and so on, learning and so on, if it is not in music and all the other creative industries that we have in Uganda. So in terms of the economic goals, we want to see employment. For example, does gospel music create employment, or should employment be one of the goals of gospel music? I believe it should, because it is the young people that are going to churches that need jobs where they can get money to give a tithe, but also to make offerings, but also to look clean and smart at church. Music, or gospel music, should be able to create wealth for the individuals that participate in that activity, but also for the communities where they live. And this is one of the things that really government wants. You know, the government, of course, their language is poverty, improving livelihoods, poverty alleviation, and so on. But I think the goal of gospel music should also be that of creating wealth for those that take part in that pursuit. And then, of course, contributing to the big thing, which they call GDP, gross domestic product. Currently, when you put together all the different industries, music, film and video, visual arts and crafts, books and publishing, all of them, we're contributing about 3% to the GDP, and that is very commendable. And by the way, that is without a lot of support from the state, because the music that you're producing as a gospel artist, probably you are spending money from your pocket. Maybe members of your church contribute something so that you can produce that music. But we are doing so much in contributing to the growth of our country. Should the growth of Uganda be a goal of gospel music? I think so, because the people that take part, that participate in the gospel music industry are Ugandans, and you want them to be well off. So the metrics that we use to measure success, whether gospel music is succeeding in contributing to those 3 things that are mentioned, employment, wealth, GDP, they are the same metrics that we use for secular music. And if you noticed, in 2020, 2021, we were speaking about these things. And by the way, when we were speaking to the policy makers and the people that matter in this country, we're not distinguishing that, you know, this so much money is brought in by gospel and so much is brought in by secular. We're saying music is contributing so much to the national economy. And those of you that have been following, for instance, URA, you're also not distinguishing between gospel and secular. They want to tax all artists in public entertainment. Because of that, then we need to refocus. In addition to contributing to people succeeding to go to heaven, we should also contribute towards our success here on earth, so that people can live a good life. I would like to go to something that has disturbed me, and I think somebody mentioned it here, that I think it was Dorothy, that a lot of people would go to a concert by a gospel artist and not pay, or not want to pay. The same mentality goes into, for instance, the broadcasters. Christian radio stations don't want to pay for gospel music, and so on and so forth. But the thing about creating is that somebody must meet the cost of creating. So who is meeting your cost of creating? Maybe the kind of things that Proper was talking about, that, you know, use the best producers, you can't afford because you don't have the resources. And maybe your church is not giving you the resources for you to be able to afford. Now, how will you influence Uganda of 47 million people if you are not creating good music, and if you cannot access good facilities, good human resource, and so on? So we have to re-examine how we meet the cost of producing gospel music. And I've had people, for instance, right now there is a copyright amendment process that is ongoing, and recently we consulted some users that included Christian radio stations. And they have said, for us, our gospel music, we want to play it for free. If you are going to come up with a law that imposes on us the obligation to pay, then it will be a problem. Now, my challenge has normally been that, okay, fine. Should we, because for instance, the revenue stream of radio is just one, but music can earn from 31 other revenue streams. So should closing out the radios from paying stop you from earning from the other 31 revenue streams? For instance, if your music is played in a bar, and the bar pays for a music license from UPRS, would you be entitled to those royalties as a gospel artist? Or, if James Proper here converts your song into a CRBT, and that song earns 6 billion Uganda shillings, shouldn't you be entitled to earn from that money? Because, by the way, earning from these different revenue streams is the only way that you'll be able to afford the cost of producing good gospel music. For as long as we are not earning and dependent on the goodwill of others, you know, when people contribute to a project, you are depending on their goodwill. And today they might contribute, tomorrow they might not contribute. So we have to find a sustainable way. And the sustainable way already exists. It's through effecting and implementing the copyright law, the way it is, and requiring all users of music, whether they are Christian radio stations or secular, whether they are bars or hotels, all these places, requiring all of them to comply by paying. And once the system begins to work out, to function well, then everybody will be able to get high quality products. So in my view, and I agree with Jeff, that in a way, commercialization of gospel music should also be part of the goal for a gospel artist. Finding ways of how your song can earn revenue for you, but also for the country. Finally, I like to say that music, or being a musician, is the only profession that is being practiced in heaven, and that will continue to be practiced in heaven. Because I think I've read in the Bible that when we go to heaven, we shall be there praising the Lord every day, and the people will be leading us to be musicians. So as we prepare to enjoy ourselves in heaven, let us also enjoy our lives on earth by commercializing our gospel music, by unclogging all systems through which we should earn money, so that we can earn this money and therefore be able to produce inspiring gospel music that will change lives, because without money we will not be able to achieve so much. Thank you very much.
Wow, what a wonderful presentation from Mukuru Charles Batambuze, my chair.